Yo guys, Awesome Chess Blunderer 24 here, and today I have a game that's played between Lei Kongliam and Anton Korobov in the um Chess World Cup. And yeah, Anton Korobov is white and Lei Kongliam is black, and Anton Korobov starts off with d4, d5 by Kongliam, bishop f4, knight f6, e3, e6, knight f3, and this is the London system. Now bishop d6, bishop takes on d6, c takes on d6, it's still theory. c4, just planning to develop his bishop, and black gets to get rid of his double pawn. So yeah, d takes on c4, bishop takes on c4, castle, knight c3, b6, and there's some in 2007 there's a gameplay between Eric Prier and Mahota, and Eric Prier, a really decent French grandmaster. He played castles, bishop b7, queen e2, knight bd7, developing his knight h3, rook c8, bishop a6, just getting rid of this bishop, queen c7, protecting the bishop, rook ac1, bishop takes on a6, just hitting the queen, and the queen takes on a6, recapturing, and white won this game. So white decide to go for something different here, even though castling is fine. He went for e5. No, d5, sorry, and black played e5. Knight to d2, perhaps with plan of putting his knight on b3, or perhaps reshuffling his knight to g3, or playing e4 and reshuffle his knight to e3. So there's some plans here. Bishop to a6, just asking to trade. The bishop that will do nothing in b7, so why not trade? Rook to c1, developing. Queen to d7, just if bishop takes, it isn't good because knight takes, and like white's better, I guess. And so he develops his queen, castle, getting king to safety. Rooks to c8, hitting the bishop. Bishop to e2, you don't really want to trade yet, you want the bishop to take on your bishop. Now queen to b7, hitting the pawn. Okay, hitting the pawn, and now e4, just protecting it. Now knight to b to d7, with just developing the knight, also with ideas to go for c5. Now b4, just preventing the knight from going to c5. Bishop takes on e2, queen takes on e2. Now knight to e8, this is interesting, perhaps with plans to go to c7 and b5 in the future. Now rook to c2, a rook lift, rook to c7, rook lift, rook fc1, rook ac8. Now knight to f1, a6, just expanding on the queen side, a4, expanding on the queen side again, and a5, b takes a5, b takes a5, and knight b5, and white has a really nice knight. White's knight has a really nice outpost on b5. Now rook takes, and now g6, just making some breathing room for the king. Knight e3, knight b6, just relocating his knight. Now queen to d1, so, and here the knight can't really take on a4 because rook takes on c8, queen takes on c8, and queen takes on a4, and just white pretty much wins here. No back rank ideas, no back rank up, just, well, white's just safe here, so we do not really want to go there. So instead, black played queen to d7. Now h3, just making breathing room for the king. h5, expanding on the king side. King h2, just moving his king around. King g7, g3, knight f6, hitting this pawn. So yeah, f3, you gotta play f3 because you gotta keep an eye out for the a4 pawn. And yeah, f3 is the only way, another way to guard the pawn. So now h4, just sacrificing a pawn to mess up the pawn structure, white's pawn structure, giving him an exposed king. G takes h4, knight h5, with ideas to get to f4. knight g2 just protecting f4 outpost, and also just capturing the knight when it gets to f4, and also protecting the h4 pawn. So king to f8, just bring his king away, and now queen to c1, just asking for trades. You still can't capture on a4 because rook takes is just winning. So rook takes on c2, queen takes on c2, king e7, just getting his king near the queen, so it's safer. I guess knight e3, and now since knight has moved away from g2, knight f4 is just fine, and knight g4 just have a white has a decent outpost. Queen to c8, now just perhaps going for a knight's endgame, and queen f2, just you don't really want to trade yet. So knight to d7, perhaps if d2 goes to c5, or maybe even to f6 to trade off the knights. And now h5, just sacrificing the pawn here, just undoubling out the pawns. You don't want to double pawns. So knight takes on h5. If g takes on h5, it's just pretty much the same. Knight e3, queen c5, and now white has a really good outpost right here. So I don't think that's why black doesn't go for it. So knight takes, queen h4 check, now f6, and now knight to e3, just perhaps relocating his knight to somewhere. Queen to c5, queen to f2, protecting. Now knight to b6, just with ideas of knight to c4, hitting this knight. Queen to g1, protecting, so now there's no more pin tactics. King to f7, just also the queen was also hitting this pawn, so you gotta protect it. Knight to g2, just perhaps asking for trades. Knight takes on a4, queen takes on c5. This knight's unprotected. You do not want the queen to be hitting. This knight has like nowhere to go, so you're forced to take. Now knight takes, and knight takes on d6. Here, now white has the d pawn as his pass pawn, and black has the a pawn as his pass pawn. Now king e7. Now knight c4, just hitting this pawn, so you gotta push it. A4, king g1, just activating his king. Now knight d3, restricting the king, and and knight g3, just developing the knight, just moving it to better location. Knight h4, just hitting this pawn. h4, just preventing the pawn from getting captured. Knight e2 check. Now king g2, and knight d4, just a really nice outpost for this knight here. King g3, knight b2, a really nice decoy tactic. You can't really take since h3 is just winning, and it's unstoppable. So knight a3, just halting the pawn from advancing, blocking the pawn. King d6, just moving his king, activating it. King g4, knight d3, and now h5, just interesting idea, just perhaps with ideas to infiltrate the king's pawn. G takes h5, king takes h5, and knight takes on f3. And now knight ac4 with check. Now king c5. Now d6, just pushing his pass pawn. Now knight f4 check, king h6, and knight g5, just preparing to get to e6 to stop the pawn. So king g7, and knight takes on e4, just grabbing the pawn since it's not advancing it. Now d7, king c6, just attack hitting this pawn. And if you queen here, then it's just a mistake, because knight e6, king f7 for example, and knight takes with check is just not good. So instead, white played this really magnificent move, knight d8 equals to knight, and you're just under promoting to a knight, so just to prevent knight e6 check, and also checking the king too. So king c5, and now knight b7 check, just checking the king. King b4, knight ba5, and look at this, 5 knights, and like this, that's a knight chain protecting each other. Now king c5, king f7, just moving, getting his king to the, just getting his king to, you know, stop some pawns here and attack, activating his king. And knight d5, just overprotecting this pawn and also asking for trades, I guess. Knight takes, king takes. Now knight b6, king c5, knight takes a4, sacrificing this knight here. Now king to b5. This is just pretty much a drawn position according to the engine, if it's if played perfectly. Here king b5. Now just knight b2, just sacrificing. King takes on a5, knight to c4 check, king to b4, and this is just drawn with knight takes on e5. You can't stop the king from getting this pawn now. King to e6, knight to d6, and just take, and this is just drawn by insufficient material. And yeah, this is such a magnificent game. That is it for today, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. It's Awesome Chess Blunderer here, and see ya.